I do think that games definitely are suffering from people being like hyper focused on finishing the game and doing it quickly. Like, I was actually going to watch this video about it, about how streamers ruined gaming, because I do think that like streaming and everything has had a profound effect on gaming, and that effect is not all good.
Did streamers really ruin gaming, or are you just trash? In this video, I'm going to talk about gaming before streaming was popular and gaming after streaming became.
What was the game?
Video, I'm going to talk about gaming before streaming.
What the fuck? Super NES? Super fucking... I don't even know what that is.
Streaming was popular and gaming after streaming became popular, and by the end of this video you'll have an answer
trying to read
on
the
if
name of the
streaming
game.
really ruined gaming or not. Now, a few months ago I was actually scrolling through Twitter and I saw this tweet right here that says dominating blue-collar workers in Battlefield.
Oh
If you don't know
god,
what
I remember
Battlefield
this.
is, well, it's basically like Battlefield and Roblox, and
yeah,
this is pretty much the whole clip. Yeah, pretty much that guy is just straight up dominating people. Like that's pretty much it. And I saw a quote tweet that said, "Esports ruined casual gaming." Now, I know the whole title of this video is like something along the lines of how streamers ruined gaming, but I'm gonna put streamers and esports kind of in the same category.
They are in the same category because they elicit the same type of behavior. And also, a lot of streamers for competitive games are streamers because they're competitive players.
Yeah, because with streaming, you kind of got to either be good at a game or funny, and with esports, you got to be good at a game. So I'm gonna put them both together because they're pretty similar, if I do say so myself. But to really understand this, we got to go all the way back to 2018, the Fortnite boom. Before Fortnite was this cringe cash grab that pretty much just preyed on little kids for money, it was a game that nobody truly knew how to play and everyone had fun with it. I mean, back in 2018, every single human being was talking about Fortnite. I mean, back then you had Fortnite meme pages, every single human being was posting their wins, people were doing emotes IRL.
Fortnite move! Oh, do it again, do it again, do it
Jesus.
again. Fortnite move!
Jesus, that was holy shit.
I mean, that's how we got the infamous ninja clip.
Everyone wants to get it. Come on, baby. Show me.
Oh my god.
Just move. If you got to throw it, just move. It's all I want to see some movement. I'm not seeing enough movement. Oh my god.
And since Fortnite was so popular, one thing that also became popular because of Fortnite was streaming. Back then, Twitch was like pretty niche, but I'd say that Fortnite made Twitch more mainstream. And you may be asking,
Fortnite definitely was a huge impact on streaming. Fortnite was fucking massive. And it definitely brought streaming into the mainstream.
why did people go to Twitch and not YouTube? Well, the thing about YouTube is that a lot of YouTube videos are edited, and some people, they may be good on YouTube, but it's like on Twitch. Twitch is live, Twitch is raw. So if you lose, like, people are gonna see you lose.
They sure
and
do.
if you win, people are gonna see you win. And that's why Twitch was so popular, because you could see high-level gameplay in real time. To determine if somebody was truly good, all you had to do was just watch them on Twitch.
That's
and with
right.
Twitch becoming so popular, some streamers that a bunch of people were watching back then was people like Myth, Ninja, Dr. Lupo, Nick Merckx. The whole Ninja versus Myth argument was like the biggest topic in school. I remember I was back in like freaking 10th grade and we were arguing at lunch tables talking about if Myth or Ninja was better. I'm not gonna lie, back then I was team Myth. But with all those popular streamers and pro players being in the limelight, that made more people want to be a pro player slash streamer. I mean, did y'all see how some of these Fortnite teams were getting down? Bro, I'm telling you, if I had to crank a few 90s to be a freaking Fortnite pro back then, I probably would. And that's exactly where the downfall of gaming happened.
Everybody trying to be a streamer. Everybody TTV, YT, .kick, you know, like live or something like that. Yeah, that's what it does. And so you've got these kids, and it's like, you know, back in the day, you'd play a video game, and it's like, you knew that it didn't really fucking matter how good you were at Smash Brothers. Like, you're still just playing a fucking video game. Who gives a shit? But like now, because you can play this game and make a bunch of money, you've got these kids literally playing these games like their life depends on it. And like, it elevated the entire, you know, the entire intensity of competition in gaming. And so like people that just want to play the game casually are getting queued into lobbies with these people, and it's like not fun for them. Like for example, like for me, for Fortnite, like I didn't want to have to learn like all of the like speed building stuff. Like I just didn't like the gameplay of it. Maybe I could do it. I don't know. I didn't even try, to be honest. I didn't even really try. So it just didn't seem like it appealed to me because it felt too sweaty. So I just kind of gave up.
started focusing on the money you can make from gaming.
I think a lot of
rather
people did
than
with
the
Fortnite.
fun
Yeah,
from gaming.
that's why they
Fortnite
were
used
happy
to be
with
this
no
game
build.
where you try to win by doing these creative strats, like building a sky base, building a
Yeah.
huge metal base, or
Yep.
maybe even camping in a bush. But then it turned into this huge sweat fest when people saw that you could make abnormal amounts of money from this game. Back
Exactly.
then, if you shot at a dude, they would probably start shooting at you back, like they wouldn't even build. But now,
Yeah.
if you shoot at somebody in Fortnite, they're building a whole freaking skyscraper hotel with Wi-Fi. It's actually wild.
Well, and it's also like you think about, like there were people that got discovered for being stream snipers or killing a popular player at the time. Like I think that it was like the one kid that won like $3 million from the Fortnite tournament. Like not just Greek, right? But like he ended up killing Tfue or something like that, and it was like a really big deal. Booga,
Now, let me
yeah.
say this right now. I do also say that that's kind of just time. Like,
I was keeping thinking Buddha. I was like, no,
my
it's
point is
not
that
it.
everyone's playing games to
Yeah.
be the best rather than to just have fun with their boys. Everyone is playing to be watched on Twitch
Exactly.
or watched
Yep.
on YouTube. I mean, you ever play a game and you get killed by somebody
TTV.
with a TTV gamer tag?
Yeah,
or the
there it
Twitch-
fucking is. Holy shit. Yep.
And they're not streaming at all. They're just sweating just to sweat. Like
Or
everyone is-
like you go to their stream. You go to their stream and they have like 2 viewers. And you look like, oh, we've been streaming for 9 hours. It's like, holy shit, man.
just playing for that top spot, because in that top spot you can make content out of it, and with that content comes a whole lot of money. Unless you're playing like Farming Simulator and you're a pro. I don't really think you make a lot of money from like pro Farming Simulator, but
No,
I don't
probably
know.
not.
I might become a Farming Simulator pro. You never know. Bars.
Well,
But
this
yeah,
is why, for example, like people were unhappy about Helldivers and then players trying to like force meta comps. And it's like also whenever you're talking about a competitive game, like for example, like in Helldivers, you really don't need that because there's no PvP. But the reality is that meta comps are meta because they're really good. That's why they're meta, guys. It's like everybody's like, oh, I like going against the meta. But yeah, but like you're not playing a competitive game. Like an equally skilled player, like of equal skill, it's you versus somebody else of equal skill. You're using meta, they're not. You win, they lose. That's how it is. That's why it's the meta.
everyone's pretty much playing to be watched. I remember back then, games wouldn't really get sweaty until like 2 or 3 weeks after release. But now, games are sweaty off the rip. It can be 5 days away from Call of Duty coming out, and you already got a dude making a video saying, best class setup 2023, MW3. And it's like, bro,
Season
the game
0
hasn't even released. It can be 2 weeks before 2K comes out, and a dude already has the best build. It makes no sense. And when the game comes out, people are only going to play the meta, because when you only play the meta, you can win more. And when you win more, you can get up to that top rank. And when you get up to that top rank, you can stream, create content from it. More people are going to watch you because you're up high on the leaderboards. And then the cycle just continues and continues and continues. And now everyone's just playing the same because everyone's just trying to be the best to be able to stream it / be watched. Back then,
yeah, because like everybody, like I saw a poll and it said that like kids in like America and in, I think it was in the UK specifically, but somewhere in Europe, the number one job they wanted to be was a streamer. And like, you know, number 2 was YouTuber, or number 3 was professional gamer, right? It was like 2 out of the 3 top careers were like being a video game streamer or something like that. And so, yeah, China wanted to be astronauts and doctors. Yeah, I remember, I think I said that then last time I brought this up. I don't know what that means, but probably not something good. Either way, this kind of stuff is, you have all these kids that are trying to do this, and the reality is that every once in a while a kid does pop off and he does do really well. So it's not like it's out of the ordinary. And like if you're very good at a very popular competitive game, you will be able to make money off of that. Absolutely. It's not even a question. Even if you're just buying and selling accounts. Don't you think it feels better now whenever you beat the meta? Well, yeah, but you're probably not going to beat the meta, right? And this is like assuming equal skill, right? And that's my whole point, is like it doesn't matter whether it feels better whenever you're beating the meta. Whenever you lose to the meta, does it feel worse? I mean, for me, like I remember like losing to meta players, it was like, okay, another one. Great. All right, next.
you would play games for the fun because there was really no money involved. But now it's like every single human being is trying to become the top streamer, and it's like, bro, like, where's the fun in that? Back then, gaming tournaments were giving out speckles. I'm telling you, if you won a gaming tournament for like freaking Mortal Kombat or Halo or something like that, you were probably going to get 50 cents in a Big Mac. But now, if you win a freaking Fortnite tournament or you just win a freaking Call of Duty tournament, dog, you're honestly set. You can buy your mom a freaking mansion. People are getting millions from tournaments. I mean, look at Booga, bro. Didn't he won like 3 million, I'm pretty sure, off of Fortnite? That is wild.
Well, it's like also there's that, and then there's like also like smaller scale levels of success. Like, for example, a lot of WoW players make a lot of money selling carries, right? I mean, they make a tremendous amount of money. Not like, this isn't like a 6-figure salary for like 99.99% of even the people that are selling the stuff, but they're making a huge amount of money. And they're able to do that and finance what their hobby is. And then if you add in streaming, well, then that's a whole other multiplier. Because like you're not just making the $3 million, you're making 20 grand a month streaming or something like that. And it's consistent, and it's something that you have like, you know, streaming is like it's, you know, obviously like the Hassan thing, right? Not every single thing about streaming is always good all of the time. But listen, guys, a lot of fucking things are. And you can complain about streaming like Hassan complained about it. I can complain about it. Anybody will complain about it. But at the end of the day, they're probably going to go live the next day. So the truth is that streaming, you have a lot of advantages and opportunities that you don't necessarily have whenever you're working a traditional job. So that's why I think so many people go after it.
That is insane money. Another thing about gaming after streaming is that games that aren't even sweaty are becoming sweaty. For example, Fall Guys.
Yes.
I remember back in 2020, every single human being was playing Fall Guys during quarantine. And with everybody playing Fall Guys, TikTok got a hold of that. And I remember scrolling through TikTok one day, and I saw this one dude making videos of the best strats on certain maps on Fall Guys. And I just thought to myself, what do you gain from being a sweat in Fall Guys? What do you gain? Like, I understand.
He gains views. That's what he gains. And people want to win the game. It's really not that complicated, but it's still like whenever you say it, it's like, yeah, it kind of is it, you know? It's the point of the game. Yeah, exactly.
And they're trying to show people how to win and stuff. But I feel like the reason why Fall Guys was so fun was because nobody was making strats or anything. People were just hopping in, having fun, just playing like headless chickens, you know? I feel like games die out quicker when you're making all these strats and stuff on how to win, when it's not even like, obviously, yes, the goal in Fall Guys is to win, but I feel like the whole point of that game is to enjoy the journey. Like the
people play like their life depends on it, because it does. Like, these are people that don't have any other prospects in life at all. So, like, their win condition in life is to be a streamer or to be, like, a YouTuber or something like that, professional player. So whenever they're playing like their life depends on it, that's actually true. In their mind, it is.
With friends, the freaking hurdles you're going over, that one dude griefing you on the map. Like, when you're only focused on trying to get crowns in that game, the game becomes less fun because you're just focused on the destination rather than the journey. Imagine coming home from a long day of school or work and you're getting sweated on in Fall Guys. Imagine you're over there just trying to chill, you know, you're on this little cutesy game that's like Wipeout, and out of nowhere.
I also think like another reason is that I bet in like traditional sports, this probably doesn't happen as much. Like, it's not like people are sweating on the basketball court because they think that they're going to be able to go to the NBA. Like, it's probably not that big of an issue in the same way that it is with Twitch. And I think the reason why is there's not really a lot of, like, general, like, cultural understanding of, oh, yes, they are. You think they do? I don't know. The last time I played basketball was, like, 10 years ago against anybody else that wasn't just, like, a friend of mine. They definitely do. You think so? Well, damn, maybe that's not a good example. But I feel like also because a lot of people, well, here's my point. Like, being a good streamer isn't just about being good at a video game. And the best streamers, I think, make streaming look easy and make it simple to do and make it seem like it's a very one-dimensional process. Now, if you actually look at it, and like I could explain it in like 50 different ways, right? But at the end of the day, streaming and being successful at it, there are more facets of it than people would initially expect. And I'm not saying it's hard. I'm not saying like you can't do it or it like takes a PhD to do this. Especially to like a young person, they're going to think that all I have to do is turn on my stream and play video games and I'm going to become a millionaire. And that's not really how it works.
TTV Try Hard for Life literally just claps you every single map. And it's like, dude, you can't even have fun anymore. And since everyone's tryharding, games are now catering to the bad players. One thing that games have been implementing is this thing called skill-based matchmaking. If you don't know what it is, well, I'll basically explain. Think of a lobby where all the top players from a bunch of different games all get into a lobby with each other and go head to head. Basically ranked play, but with no bonus rewards or anything. You just kind of get into a lobby with the best players without getting any specific reward in casual play. And the thing about skill-based matchmaking is that it's unfair because the good players are being punished for being good at the game. And it gets to this point where it's like,
I think it's such a nuanced conversation, and I honestly don't know what the right decision on skill-based matchmaking is. Because, like, for example, how many of you guys quit playing Fortnite because you kept getting beat by people that were so far above you in skill level that you just knew that you were never going to put in that amount of effort, and you were just like, okay, I'm done, right? So it's like, yeah, you have instances like that, and that's why skill-based matchmaking gets put into a game. And you should want to play against people that are of your same skill level. But the opposite of that is that if you invest a lot of time into being good at a game, I think a lot of people want to be able to go 20-0 and just farm people that are fucking garbage. So it's like, I don't know. I think it's a matter of like the strength of the skill-based matchmaking. I think that you need some degree of skill-based matchmaking, but I think that in a lot of games, it's too strong, where it's like if you win one game, if you go top 10 and then you win the game after you go top 10, you know that in the next game, you're going to be number 83. So like, yeah, I think probably having a wider gap is, or a wider like range of people that it's acceptable for makes it okay. And I think it's whenever it's too strong or it feels too artificial is whenever it's a problem. Smurfs ruin games. I am a big advocate of smurfing being against TOS. I think it's one of the stupidest fucking things that you can have somebody that's like playing on an alt account on ranked, ruining the experience. Like this happens in WoW. Like you're playing a gladiator games at 1800. Like you're queuing into a guy. This guy has gladiator. You have a rank 1 player in a 2100 match. Like what the fuck? How does this even happen?
Winning feels like a chore rather than actual fun. Because back then, if you truly wanted to sweat, you would go into like a ranked game mode or something. But now, if you're a tryhard, you're gonna play every single other tryhard 24/7 just because you're good at the game. Back then, games like Call of Duty, what they would do, you would join a lobby, and if you wanted to leave that lobby, you would just leave it. And if you wanted to stay after the game, you would stay. But now, after a game is finished, they just transport you to a whole different lobby with everyone else who also did good. And it's like, now you gotta go head to head with all the big dogs just because you won one game. I remember Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, that had some of the worst skill-based matchmaking ever. That game was borderline unplayable because if you won one game, you would be playing the freaking Optic roster from freaking 2014 just from winning one game. And another way of games catering...
Well, I think also, like, that's what I was saying before about it being very artificial. Because like also you have to keep in mind that if you're winning games and you're crushing people every game, the people getting crushed are having that same bad experience that you have whenever you're queuing into Optic. So it's like, and this is what I was saying before, is like, I don't know how to solve, I don't know what the solution to this is. I've thought about it a lot. I think it's just like, yeah, it's just bad matchmaking. Because like also, and it depends on like what their goal is. Is their goal to get you to a 1-to-1 kill death ratio? Or like what is the goal? Like how do they calculate what your internal rating is? I don't know.
To bad players, Fortnite adding bots into their games just so you can feel better about yourself. Yep. Let's be real. It is 2023.
They do that for new players as far as I know. I don't know if they add bots. Like PUBG adds bots. Even whenever you're not new, but Fortnite, I know that they add bots for new players.
Nobody is a default anymore in Fortnite. I mean, back then, yes, there were people who were bad at the game, but nobody is so bad that they're literally running into a wall 24/7 in Fortnite. So now it's like...
Well, I don't know if I'd completely agree with that. I think that there are always going to be, like, there's always a new batch of 7-year-olds that play the game that are shitty at it.
There's no middle ground between the good and the bad players. It's like, if you're good, you're being punished, and if you're bad, you're being rewarded. There's actually this tweet by FaZe Sway that says, "The downfall of video games started when kids complained about people being good at the game. I remember when I was a kid and saw a Master Prestige in COD, I didn't tell him to take a shower or go outside. I sent that MF a friend request. And that's facts. Instead of actually...
I think that, like, that's definitely true, and that's a good point. That's sometimes what I would do too, but that's also coming from the mindset of somebody who's a professional gamer. And whenever you look at it from the, and this is, I think, the problem with like the conversations around skill-based matchmaking, is that people are only looking at it from their own perspective, and they're not trying to like actively think about it from the perspective of the other person. Because like if you, like, for example, some people might not have time to get good at the game. And so if the game is really hard, then they just end up quitting. That's it. And like sometimes that's the right option, right? I mean, like, especially for competitive games, that's the right option. If you can't get good at the game, you keep losing, then just quit. But the reality is that if you have so many people, if the game is so hard to get into and the skill cap is so high, well, look at StarCraft. Look what happened with StarCraft. The game's fucking dead. And RTS as an entire genre is dead. I think one of the big reasons for that is because the skill cap is so high. It's like the amount of metagaming you have to do is incredible. You adapt to the challenge. Yeah, but like what you see, again, this is like, you have to think about it. You're thinking about it from your perspective. You have to think about it from a perspective of a man who's been challenged ever since 6 a.m. It's 8 p.m. now. He spent 8 hours being challenged. Yeah, for you, it's a challenge, but for him, like, he works for a living. Like, that's his challenge. This is his enjoyment. He's playing this to enjoy himself. And you can easily say, oh, well, this game isn't for you. Great, that's fine. But if enough people say that, then the game dies. And that's what happened with the game like StarCraft 2. I think it's a big reason. And it's what happened, I think, why a lot of people bounced off of Fortnite. The game just got so good, or the game got so hard. So again, like, just try to look at it from other people's perspective. Try to like listen to what they're saying. And like, remember, like, being able to overcome a challenge in a video game doesn't mean anything. There's no, it's just a game.
Putting in the work to be good. A lot of people just sit there and complain, and now games are kind of catering to them. But one game that I say that kind of bridged the middle ground between the really good players and the really bad players is Street Fighter 6. One thing that Street Fighter 6 did, they added something called modern controls and classic controls. Classic controls, basically you have to do more to push out a combo, and if you do that successfully, then that combo does more damage. But if you play modern controls, you only hit square or something and it'll do a full combo, and those combos do less damage. So it kind of bridges the gap between good and bad players. Okay. But that's a whole fighting game. How can this be fixed in like games that are like FPS or something like that? In my honest opinion, I say that FPS games should just go back to like the regular lobbies, you know? Back then, you could join a lobby, scope out the lobby, see who's like the freaking best players and stuff. And if they were a little too good for your level, you could leave if you wanted to. Like, I don't think that you should be transported into the freaking universe of the top 12 Call of Duty masters after you win one game. I feel like there should always be that option to stay if you want to stay or leave if you want to leave. There was nothing wrong with those lobbies back then. It's just like, I just
feel like, I think what they should do is they should just like really soften skill-based matchmaking and like make it to where like you play against a much larger variety of players, or at least like you have like more of a gap between them, and then just like try to get more people to actually play ranked. Because like that's really the experience you should be trying to have. And also, I think that, how do you do that? Because like a lot of people care a lot about their rank in a ranked game. I think that what they have to do, this sounds stupid, but I think that they have to like find a way to make people not care as much about their rank.
Games just wanted to cater to the bad
They just want to play the game.
You know? So it's honestly just like, gaming is just honestly a huge sweat fest. And that rounds back to like the ultimate question of this video. Did streamers really ruin gaming? In my honest opinion, yes. I 1000% believe that streamers in esports ruined gaming. Because there is no reason why.
Ruined is always a hard word to use because it's like there's a lot of great games and people like playing them. But I definitely do think that as somebody who's played online games for a long time, that after people realized you could make money with them, it has dramatically changed the way that people perceive content and the way that people go about playing games.
People should be sweating at a game where you literally farm cabbages. How do you even sweat in Farming Simulator? How? Let me know in the comments. Do y'all think streamers slash pro players ruin gaming? Or like, what's your guys' take on this whole situation? Let me know. But yeah, this is gonna wrap up the video. If you guys made this far, I appreciate you. If you guys enjoyed this video, then I highly recommend you guys check out my most recent video where I talk about why everyone hates prank channels. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. It's Cameron, and I'm out.
I think this is a great video. I definitely do. Like, I say, like, this guy, I think, probably explained, like, what I think really well. He says, I don't think streaming is what ruined it. It's people sweating over the prospect of streaming that ruined it. Abso-fucking-lutely. Absolutely. I completely agree. Yeah, and it's like streaming gives people that opportunity to, like, oh, maybe I can be really big and play this game and take it seriously, right? And so that's it. There's the link. Yeah, make sure to give the video a like. This was good. It came out a long time ago, but like I just saw it and I thought that especially after the other video I watched, it would be worth looking at because like streamers do definitely, like whenever somebody is like, oh, what's the best gun in the game? They're going to probably go and check on Twitch or check on somewhere like Twitch to figure out what they need to do and how they need to play. And so that's usually what's going to happen. Just don't give a fuck. Yeah, but like whenever you're playing a game and you keep getting beat by people that are like so far above you in skill level that you know that you're never going to get to that point, there is like a certain amount of like, why am I really doing this? Am I really having fun being cannon fodder? It's demoralizing. Like, it just sucks. Like, I mean, is it really a crazy thing to say that losing in a video game 80% of the time sucks? Like, I think it absolutely does. So min-maxing, I think, is a natural process. You're right. And I think the best way to guard against it is to make people not care about the outcome of the game as much as possible. I think one way that happened pretty well is like in PUBG, I wouldn't necessarily care as much about the outcome of the game because the game was more of a long-form experience versus like Warzone or versus Fortnite, where like it was very much like a competitive game. And I think that's what happens. Is like the more competitive a game is, the more the meta matters. Which is like, I mean, just logically, right? Of course, that's the way it is. I think streamers have helped. I found games that I never would without streamers. Well, streaming is like one of those things that's the same as everything else, where there are a lot of good things that come out of streaming, and there are also some negatives and bad things that come out of streaming. Like, for example, like you have like people that adhere to a meta and they get like super fixated on playing a meta. Oh my god, meta, right? You've got to play this certain way. But at the same time, streaming also elevates video games that are kind of unpopular, and it makes makes people aware of them on a very, very large scale. So it's just that streaming changes the way that people consume video games as entertainment media. And some of those ways that it gets changed are bad. I mean, fuck, man, it seems pretty simple, isn't it? It doesn't help that we're in the information era. Guides are everywhere before the game even comes out. Yeah, but people... And this is what I was talking about before, about how, like, it's goal-oriented gameplay. People are so focused on finishing the game that they don't play it. They're not focusing on trying to have an experience in the game. They're not trying to enjoy themselves and immerse themselves in experience. They're trying to just beat the game, do the thing. It's like, and there's so much fixation around accomplishments that people have in video games. And I just think that it's very, it's very distorted, right? Because again, streaming is like primarily, and gaming is like primarily a young guy thing. Like, yes, there are older people that get into it. Yes, there are girls. I've heard of them, at least. I'm not sure myself personally, but I did hear that they do exist, that play games and do these things. But it's primarily a lot of young guys. That's basically it. Young guys playing games. And young guys place a disproportionate amount of value in video game accomplishments. And, like, I would say that, in general, the ego that you get out of playing a video game is not really, like, if you're like 43 and you're still getting that ego out of a video game, there's probably something wrong, you know? Even if you're like 30, yeah, you get older, you realize how stupid it is, right? Yeah, exactly. Because like video games, you're programmed to it's like they're programmed to lose against you, right? And so it's just like, But for a young guy, video games are probably the first time that a young kid, like a teenage boy, is able to be treated on the same playing field as everybody else. And that's what makes video games so beautiful and great, is that they give people that, you know, like really want to put their mind to something and really want to overcome it, they put them on that even playing field. That's not true at all. Well, it is though, right? Because like, for example, like, and also like you're right, and there's like different external factors, but they're not the same external factors that exist in real life. Like, for example, you're not on an even playing field if you're 15 and the other guy's 50, because you just have a genetic advantage against them. You're going to have faster reaction time. That's all there is to it. Are there 50-year-olds that can beat 15-year-olds? Absolutely. But we're talking about averages and extremes. And on the extremes, you know, if you're younger, you're going to have the advantage. That's just how it is. You know, looking at the same, you know, two people on the same point of a bell graph, or, you know, like a, you know, bell curve graph, you know, the younger one's going to beat the older one. That's just how it is. And so, and also like having a good computer, having time to play the game, right? So like, for example, like an older guy, if you have a wife and a kid and a career, you don't have the time. Like, you really are not on an even playing field against a 19-year-old. You're really not, because the 19-year-old can play the game 12 hours a day and you can't. So it's like you are going up against an insurmountable advantage. But for the 19-year-old, it is a fair playing field in his mind. And it also is still fair. It's just that he doesn't have the resources or the time to make it, to invest into it being fair. And so it's a different set of inequality. And I think that that type of inequality does give young guys, especially, a massive ego boost. And I think it's a great thing. That's the way that I felt whenever I was young. Like, I remember I felt really good whenever I was like really good at WoW. And people would ask me for advice, and like I would be able to like lead raids and everything, because it's like the first time I was able to like be taken seriously as an individual, as a person, right? And like that's a great thing. But at the same time, you know, like making the games and like trying to fixate around that, I think can be very toxic for games too. I'm 30 and I enjoy games because life is hard and games are nice or enjoyable way to pass time. It's that simple. Exactly, yeah. And so like, and this is one thing that like a lot of like more hardcore players don't really understand, is that a lot of the people that play games aren't playing them because it's like, they're not there for the challenge. They're there to enjoy the game. And I think it's like something that whenever you're young, it's hard to understand. And whenever you're old, it's hard to understand the opposite. So there's a huge amount of dissonance there. And there's a disconnect between like, and also like as gaming, like for example, like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, whenever WoW came out, I would assume the like age gap in gaming was like this. And like now I think it's like this, because gaming's gotten a lot bigger overall. And in the process of getting a lot bigger, you have all of these different people that play games for different reasons and have different values besides just playing the game and being very good at it. And that's how you've seen obviously games change in, you know, for better and for worse. So yeah. What if it's a competitive game, though? Well, it depends on, like, so that's the thing. And that's what I was saying, like, I don't have the solution for that. I don't know what to do. It's easy to confuse personal accomplishment with multiplayer gaming. Yeah, and it's like, I just think that people should try to take a step back and realize that it is just a game. It's not really a big deal. But at the same time, if you have fun and you're enjoying it, then you've already won. And if you're not enjoying the game, most people that are playing a game really seriously, even if you're in the top 1%, you're a loser. You're a massive loser if you're only in the top 1%. Because if you look at the people that are playing and that are like really well known in like the WoW community or in any of these other communities, like the guys that really pop off are in the top 0.001%. Like you look at WoW, Max is in the best guild in the world. Peo is a multi-gladiator. Stay Safe, I think, used to play pretty seriously. I'm not really even sure. Shobek actually competed in a tournament for the game. Vinruki has been a rank 1 player for 15 years. Rank 1 is the top 0.1% of the arena competitors. So it's the top 0.1% of the best players that are doing arena. So a lot of these guys, Absturge, you know, Bajira, multi-rank 1, So if you're only in the top 1% in a video game, you're just a loser. That's all there is to it. You're just a fucking loser. And just give up. Give up. If you think that you're going to like be like really well known for how good you are at the game, even if you're in the top 0.1%, I think you're still probably not good enough. Because think about it. That's 1 in 100. One in 100 is 1%, right? 1 in 1,000 is 0.1%. That's nothing. Bro, like how many big streamers are there? There's like 15. Are there 15,000 people? No, there's probably way more. It's the same thing with real life and sports. If you're top 1%, you're nobody. Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think people understand. Like, for example, like go watch a Zico video, and like I noticed this with the Makara tournament, is that a lot of like casual players for these games, they don't even know how good the best players are. It's like an unironic, you don't even know their power level. Like there's like levels of gameplay that these guys are existing in that you have no idea that it even exists. It's like if, and this is a problem with like WoW Arena, is like you can't appreciate like a lot of things that happen in, for example, Arena, unless you are a 2200 player, because you don't even know what's happening. And I remember seeing this at BlizzCon. I remember people cheering for like a Rep Paladin to get killed in Arena, and they were like, oh my god, the match is almost over, and Rep Paladins in Arena had auto bubble whenever they would die, so it was like a death save. So like you couldn't even kill them then. It wasn't even possible. But like everybody was cheering for it, they had no idea. Because like the average player doesn't even understand enough about the game to be able to appreciate the good players. Exponent said the same thing with the best fighting game players. Yeah, people don't even understand how good they are. Even if you've beaten the best players, you still aren't beating them more than you're losing to them? Yeah, exactly. Like, I beat Rekful in Arena. Once. You know, it's like, you know, you think about the fact that, like, you know, if you've ever beaten a really, really good player, you screenshotted whenever you beat them. They didn't screenshot whenever they beat you. It's a good way to say it. And so, yeah, people need to have, like, a more grounded perspective on whenever they're playing these games and they think that they're going to be, like, really well known. Like, you really do have to be, like, even if you're in the top 0.1%, you're a loser. Don't even try. Give up. Give up. You suck. It's just the way it is. How does it make you a loser, though? Well, you're a loser in terms of competing to be one of the top streamers or top esports pros for the game. And you're a loser because you'd lose to them, which makes you a loser. Losers lose. And you would be losing, which means that you are a loser. I don't make the rules, man. I'm just saying how it is. That's a bad take. You can still improve. Then improve. But what I'm saying is that, like, a lot of people, the best players are also improving. They are always improving too. So, like, yes, obviously, like, you can become better. But at a certain point, you need to be honest with yourself and realize that, like, no, you're probably not going to be so good. It's not like the best players never get better either. Like, Vinruki is probably a better player now than he was 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, he was a rank 1 player. Now he's a rank 1 player. You see what I'm saying? This hurts. Yeah, that's just how it is. Like, those people are going to keep getting better. You're a loser until you win. That's just how it is. Yeah, but at a certain point, like, I'm just saying, like, to be honest about, like, where your standing is. Yeah, it's not a bad take. I'm just explaining how the world works. Yeah, and, like, I know it's hard to say. But, like, that's why I say it. I'm kind of saying it in, like, a very blunt and, like, rude way. But I think it is really true. You aren't going to make it. Yeah, there it is. There it is. You're just not going to make it. So when did you give up on that dream, in your opinion? When did I give up on it? I'm too old for it to have ever been a dream. Like, actually, that's not true. I actually really wanted to play Apex Legends really seriously. And, like, maybe not be, like, a competitive player. I never thought I would be a competitive player. But I wanted to stream it and, like, be good enough to stream the game. And I played the game nonstop for, like, a month. And I didn't feel like my improvement in the game was substantial enough, so I gave up. I was like, I'm not satisfied with my performance as a player, and I don't think that I'm going to get better at a rate that I feel like I'm investing my time into this and it's worthwhile. That's all there is to it. It's not your game. Yeah, it just wasn't my game. At the end of the day, it just wasn't my game.